is your basic understanding of employee relations? What is your basic understanding? What do you understand by employee relations? So share with me in the chat room. Share with me quickly in the chat room. Tell me what you understand by employee relations. In your own words, in the way you understand. Share with me in the chat room. You can just type it. You can even use one word. Just tell me when you hear the word employee relations, what comes to your mind? I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I want everyone to be carried along. So let me know. Interactions. I like that. Christy said interactions. All right. How the interactions between, okay, can you expand a little? This interaction, is it between who and who? Okay, she said collaboration. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. All right, can we have more people contribute to this? Can we have more people contribute to this? Please admit Emmanuel Afolabi into the class. So what comes to your mind? Christy Favor told us interactions, collaborations. So what else comes to mind? Because we just said that it's just about the management and maintenance. So the maintenance of the relationship between employers and employees. So when I was asking Christy Favor to expand, I was simply expecting her to tell me something like interactions between employers and employees. Okay, collaboration between employers and employees. So that's just what it is, you know. Employers creating a positive work environment, meeting and addressing employee concerns, and then both parties ensuring mutual trust. All right, so why is this important? Why is it important that we talk about the concept of employee relations? Number one, employee relations is important because it enhances productivity. Positive employee relations lead to a more motivated and engaged workforce, resulting in higher productivity and efficiency. When there's a good rapport or relationship between the employer and the employee, they are engaged, they are motivated, and at the end of the day, what we'll begin to see is higher productivity and higher efficiency. Okay, I have a wonderful comment from Domaka Emmanuel. He said, it is about how the management and employees relate to each other in the working environment. Perfect. Beautiful. So that contribution is wonderful. So it's when this happens, what we see is that we see enhanced productivity. Another one is reduced turnover. Good employee relations help retain talent by creating a supportive work environment where employees feel valued and feel respected. Okay, so another reason for employee relations is that effective employee relation strategies can help identify and resolve workplace conflicts promptly, minimizing disruptions and maintaining a harmonious work environment. This is very, very key. So another one is the proper management of employee relations ensures compliance with labor laws and regulations, thereby reducing the risk of legal disputes and penalties. Let's look at another importance of employee relations as it relates to organizational culture. Strong employee relations contribute to a positive organizational culture, fostering teamwork, collaboration, and a sense of belonging among employees. So these are the things that we see when employee relations is in place. Now, let's talk about the components of effective employee relations. What are the things that when we see these things, we can now say confidently that the employee relations in that organization is top notch or is working well or is effective? What are these key components? Number one is communication. Communication. Open, transparent, and two-way communication channels between management and employees are very essential for building trust and addressing concerns. Um, it is commonly said that communication is the life wire of every relationship. There is no relationship, whether it's a secular relationship, whether it is a cordial relationship, whether it is a work relationship, that can succeed without effective communication. The role that communication plays in our lives, in our jobs, it cannot be underplayed, all right? It cannot be trivialized because communication is key. It should be open, it should be transparent, and it should be two-way. This will help to build trust, and it also helps to address the concerns that employees have about the work the employers have given them. So let's talk about another one, employee involvement. Employee involvement, encouraging employee participation in decision-making process and valuing their input fosters a sense of ownership and commitment. If you are a leader within an organization, if you're a human resource management professional, and then you have people that you're working with in an organization, you will get more results when you carry them along in your decision-making processes. Instead of going somewhere to decide and telling them what to do, you will get more results when you carry them along and even come to the point where you listen to them suggest on what to do. That way, there is something we call the law of buy-in, okay? The law of buy-in. That way, they will be able to buy in into that idea. They'll be able to buy in into that decision. They'll be able to believe that this decision is not just the leader's decision. It's not just the supervisor's decision. It's not just the manager's decision, but it is our decision. When they come to at that point, they now own this vision. They now own that instruction. They now own that assignment. Okay? That's what we call it imputes and fosters in them a sense of what? Ownership and commitment. The next one is fair treatment. Fair treatment is a basic component of an effective employee relations. Therefore, you must ensure that there is fair and consistent treatment of all employees, regardless of their role or background, because this promotes a positive work environment. Let me go off the books a little and ask you this question. Do you know the difference between equity and equality? Equity and equality. Who will share with me? Who will share with me in the chat room? The difference between equality and equity. You know, sometimes when we talk about fair treatment, people assume that fair treatment is equality. But it is not, in fact, equality. It should be equity. Now, what is the difference between these two? Can anybody share? All right. So while you are thinking about it, let me tell you what equity is and what equality is using an illustration. Okay. So there is a high fence, and beyond the high fence, there are There's a young football club and they are playing football. Now everybody rushes to the fence and they all want to see what's happening with the team, how they are playing. There's a lot of celebratory noise. So everybody wants to see what's happening. But then some of them are tall enough that they can see through the fence. Some of them are too short that they cannot even see to the top of the fence. Some of them are not seeing through the fence, but just by lifting up their toes, they can see the fence. At that point, what they need to be able to watch the football, every one of them, is not equality. What they need is equity. Having seen that, some of them are tall enough that they can see above the fence, while some of them cannot see at all above the fence. One other person can lift up his toes and then he can see above the fence. Equity would be to give them, the tall person would not need anything to stand on. So you now take two pieces of blocks and give to the person who can lift his toes to see, and then give 4 blocks to the person who cannot see at all to climb on top to be able to see. Now, at that point, you have done what we call equity. But if it is equality, equality is giving each and every one of them two blocks each. That's a total of 6 blocks. But you know that the person who is already tall does not need that block at all. He can already see through the fence. So when it comes to equality is giving everybody equal opportunity, equal chance, all right? Giving everybody the same thing, the same treatment. But equity is more about fairness, all right? It's about trying to level the ground for all players so that everybody can feel belonged, all right? So they can have a good treatment. Let me check the chat room. I see some, oh, beautiful, beautiful, and wonderful. You see, Mr. Emmanuel said, equity is the quality of being fair, while equality is a state of being equal. Exactly what I was trying to say. Christy said, equality talks about level playing ground. Perfect. She used the exact words. Level playing ground. Equity is about fairness. All right. So this is it. All right. Thank you so much, Lady Christy and Mr. Emmanuel. Thank you so much for your contributions. They are wonderful. Okay, so that's it about fair treatment. Is a major component of employee relations. So another one is recognition and rewards. Acknowledging and rewarding employee contributions and achievements helps boost morale and motivation in an environment where people's efforts are recognized, people's results are recognized and rewarded. They are encouraged and it boosts their morale and motivation. Also, implementing effective conflict resolution strategies to address and resolve workplace disputes promptly and fairly. This is key because wherever people exist, conflict will exist, and it's important that they are resolved amicably. Providing another key component is employee development. That is providing opportunities for professional growth and development through training, mentoring, and career advancement programs. We talked about this when we were talking about the talent acquisition and retention. All right, so let's look at legal framework and employee rights. Understanding the legal aspects of employee relations is crucial for ensuring compliance and protecting both employer and employee rights. Key areas to consider include, number one, employment contracts. It has to be clearly defined, all right? The terms have to be clearly defined and the conditions of employment written clearly. This should include job responsibilities, compensation, and benefits. Next is labor laws. There is need for understanding and knowledge of relevant labor laws and regulations, such as minimum wage, working hours, and health and safety standards. I know that our country, Nigeria, is currently battling on the issue of minimum wage, and we hope it is resolved soon. And as an employer, this is something that you should understand and have at your fingertips. Another one is employee rights. That an employer should be aware of employee rights. A human resource professional should be aware of employee rights, including the right to a safe work environment, freedom from discrimination and harassment, and the right to fair treatment. You cannot even call yourself a human resource management professional if you are not one who is looking out to protect employee rights. A human resource management professional is more like in between the employer and the employee. The human relations management professional is like an arbiter between the employer and the employee. So while you are also considering the rights of the employee, you are also considering the welfare of the organization itself. So it's essential that you make the environment free from discrimination and harassment. Our new national anthem said, where no man is oppressed. All right. And that's wonderful, where we make sure that no person is oppressed in the workplace. Another one is grievance procedures. All right. There should be an established formal procedure for employees to raise and address their grievances and their complaints. It's been on the news about a particular lady who accused a permanent secretary of sexual harassment. It's been on the news. Well, this morning I just read that there's a twist, a new twist now, as ICPC is now probing the civil servants. Please, I don't know what's happening there, but if you have thoughts on that, you can also share in our comment section because it applies to what we are talking about today. So this civil servant has raised her grievance about a sexual harassment between she and the permanent secretary, and how it now turned out that ICPC is the one now probing the civil servants is the part I do not understand. So there is need for grievance procedures within the organization. And some of these things are the reasons why we do what we do. We are not just talking because we love to talk. We are talking because even the government has encouraged everyone to go for certifications, all right? Because this is the way to go beyond whatever it is you have learned in school, in the universities, with your multiple degrees. There is need for you to be certified, and not just being certified by receiving a certificate. You should know the current trends, the new developments, things that are very crucial to becoming a human resource management professional. And it is my hope that you take these classes seriously and ensure that you reach the end in order to graduate. All right. So let's talk about disciplinary action as another legal framework uh, and under employee rights. There is need to implement fair and consistent disciplinary procedures to address employee misconduct while ensuring due process. And this is very, very important. All right, so let's look at module 2, communication in employee relations. There is need for communication. We said earlier that communication is the lifeline of any kind of relationship. So let's look at communication in employee relations. Effective communication is the cornerstone of positive employee relations. When employees feel informed, heard, valued, it fosters trust, engagement, and a more productive work environment. So this is very, very important if you must enjoy. Sorry, if you must enjoy effective communication within your employee relations. This is very important because communication is not complete until there is feedback. Employees want to be heard. They want to be valued. Do you know there are people who have left jobs that are seemingly well-paying jobs, not because they stopped paying, not because they could not afford them, but because they felt heard. There is this pleasure in being heard. There is this fulfillment when you know that your opinions are heard and valued. It helps you to trust. It helps you to trust the people you're working with. It helps you to become more engaged as an employee. And certainly the work environment will be very much productive. Okay. Now we have different communication theories and models. We're going to be looking at them one after the other. The different communication theories and models. All right. So the first one is what is called Shannon Weaver model. This model describes communication as a linear process involving a sender, a messenger, a message, a medium, a receiver, and feedback. Let me take that again. It involves a sender, a message, a medium, a receiver, and feedback. It highlights the importance of clear messaging and feedback in effective communication. All right. There is no communication that is complete until there is what? Effective feedback. All right. Let's talk about another model called the transactional model. This model views communication as a dynamic, continuous process where both sender and receiver are simultaneously engaged in sending and receiving messages. It emphasizes the role of context, feedback, mutual influence in communication. This happens when you ask somebody, I need the reports for the last outreach program we had of last CSR. And then he said, I've finished working on it. It's just to type it and keep it in, put it in official format. And then I said, how long will it take? And the person responds, oh, it's going to take just about a day. It should be ready this time tomorrow. Say, okay, please make sure that it gets to me. Send it to the email and copy one to our executive manager. You see that in this case, both sender and receiver, they have been simultaneously engaged in sending and receiving messages. Another one is the Laswell model. The Laswell model focuses on analyzing communication through 5 questions. So what are these 5 questions? Who says what? In which channel? To whom? With what effect? This model is useful for understanding the impact of communication on the audience, especially when you want to know what the impact of the communication is on the audience. This is the model you could likely use. Another one is the Bellows SMCR model. This model breaks down communication into 4 components. That is the SMCR: the source, message, channel, receiver. Let's take it again: the source, message, channel, receiver. It underscores the importance of the source's credibility, message clarity, appropriate channels, and the receiver's ability to decode the message. Because no matter how wonderful your message is, if the receiver is not able to decode the message, you won't even get correct feedback. It means that something is already wrong with that message. All right, so active listening is crucial for effective communication in employee relations. It involves fully concentrating, understanding, responding, and remembering what is being said. Key activities involved in active listening include paying attention. If you must be an active listener, you should be able to pay attention. Give your speaker full attention and avoid distractions. Number 2, you have to show engagement. You can use non-verbal cues such as nodding, maintaining eye contact, making sounds like okay, okay, and that way the person that is talking to you, the speaker, now knows that you are actually listening. Number three, you have to provide feedback. Summarize or paraphrase what the speaker has said to ensure understanding and provide appropriate responses. Now, one thing you must always do is that you have to avoid interrupting and allow the speaker to finish before responding. Don't be too fast. Don't be in a hurry. Don't be in a hurry to make a point or prove your own point. Just defer judgment until the speaker has finished. Respond appropriately. You need to provide thoughtful and relevant responses. Ask questions for clarification and offer constructive feedback. Let's talk briefly about conflict resolution techniques. Remember, we're still looking at the model 2, the communication in employee relations. Now, in order to have quality communication in employee relations, there is need for conflict resolution techniques. These techniques include number one, collaborative problem solving. This involves encouraging open dialogue and collaboration to find mutually beneficial solutions to conflict. This is very, very key. Another one is mediation. In mediation, you use a third party who is usually neutral to facilitate discussions and help parties to reach an agreement. Next is negotiation. You have to engage in constructive negotiation to address the interests and needs of both parties so that at the end of the day, there can be an ideal win-win situation for both parties, both the employer and the employee. Another conflict resolution technique is compromise. In compromise, you just find a middle ground where both parties can agree, ensuring that both have their primary needs met, in as much as maybe secondary needs will not be met, but primary needs must be met. Now, the next one will be assertiveness. Encourage employees to express their thoughts and feelings openly and respectfully without aggression or passivity. There is need for them to respond and express themselves. And in doing that, no matter how provoked one is, it should be without aggression and passivity. As some of you may already know, I am also an emotional intelligence expert. And I can tell you that one of the key aspects of emotional intelligence is your ability to be assertive. Being able to express your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions without aggression. Now, some might say, oh, I was not aggressive, I was just talking about it. But passivity is even worse. So, in as much as we don't want you to be aggressive, we also don't want you to be passive. Assertiveness is key in conflict resolution techniques. Last one is empathy. In empathy, you have to understand and acknowledge the emotions and perspectives of all parties involved. Understand that people are not you. Everybody can never be you. You are different. They too are different. And if you understand that, your kindness for people will increase. It's unfortunate that we have found ourselves in a world where people don't have much empathy. People are only focused on what they stand to benefit. They are focused on wanting to be heard, not considering or minding what it to do to others. So within an organization, there is need for empathy. You have to consider that member of staff that is always coming late. Sometimes just before you hand over that query, before you hand over that suspension letter, really sit down with that person and find out what is happening to them, especially if they have not been in the habit of late coming. If they have not been in the habit of not finishing their work, show empathy. The truth of the matter is that people are dealing with stuff. People are dealing with stuff. And there is lots of need to be empathetic, even in this generation. It's sad that when people are going through terrible times and crises, others bring out their phone to video them. That's what people do now. Instead of showing empathy, understanding that people are going through a lot of hard times will help you in conflict resolution. Yes, in the chat room, I see a comment from Domaka Emmanuel, who said quality is quality, or is this equality? Equality is the situation in which everyone has the same rights and advantages, while equity is the value of being equal, of giving equal opportunity to everyone. All right, thank you so much. That was a wonderful comment from you. All right, so let's talk about effective feedback and performance appraisal. Effective feedback and performance appraisal. Providing effective feedback and conducting performance appraisal are vital for employee development and motivation. Key aspects include timeliness. Provide feedback promptly to address issues and reinforce positive behavior. Another one is specificity. Offer clear and specific feedback. Focus on behaviors and outcomes rather than personal attributes. Constructiveness. Frame feedback positively, highlighting areas of improvement and suggesting actionable steps. There is need for a lot of constructiveness when it comes to HR and employees. You need to frame feedback positive, not to see evil in everything that is done. Another one is the balanced approach. Use the sandwich method, where positive feedback is given before and after constructive criticism. So you want to correct somebody over what they have done, start with the things they did well, after which you now talk about what they didn't do well, and then encourage them about your faith and beliefs and hope that they'll be able to do better. Because if they know better, they'll do better. Next is SMART goals. We talked about this before in the first session. The goals have to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And all of these goals have to be SMART during performance appraisals to guide employee development. The last one I want to share on this aspect is called two-way communication. Encourage employees to share their perspectives, ask questions, and participate in setting goals and developmental plans. Like I said, when they share their perspectives, they will own the vision. That's what we call vision ownership. They will own the vision. They'll make it theirs. And they will do everything in their power to make sure that the organization moves forward. All right, it's time for us to look at Module 3, employee motivation. In the first session, I asked you a question, and that question was, what motivates people for work? In your organization, what would you say is that factor that motivates people to work? What is it that motivated people to apply in your organization? Most of them, what is their motivation? Some of you answered me in the first session. Those who did answer can use the second session as an opportunity to answer. There are different things that motivate different people. But we need to find out what motivates them the more. Let me start by saying that a motivated workforce is essential for any organization's success. Motivated employees are more engaging, more productive, and more creative. This module will explore different motivational theories, the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, and strategies for designing motivational programs and recognizing employees. So let's talk about intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. When we say intrinsic, what comes to your mind? When we say extrinsic, what comes to your mind? Please share with me in the chat room. As the word suggests, intrinsic tells you it's from within, it's from inside, all right, it's internal. Extrinsic tells you it is what? Extrinsic, that is from the outside, it's external. All right, I'll be pausing 1 minute. Let me handle a question by Domaka Emmanuel. He said, please, I have a question. My boss used to communicate with anger, insults, and all sorts of words. I guess the question is, what can we do about this? Number one, I wish there is a way your boss can attend a certification class like this. You know, it was Maya Angelou that said, when we know better, we will do better. I'm sure your boss doesn't know better. And that is why he is doing what he's doing. If a leader has more emotional intelligence, that leader will know how to respond. Because at the end of the day, life is just 10% what happens to us, but 90% how we react to what happens to us. Any leader with emotional intelligence will know that emotional intelligence calls for assertiveness, not aggressiveness. There is a difference between assertiveness and aggressiveness. They may have the same legs and structure, but they're not the same. Assertiveness is more like being able to express your mind, being able to express your thoughts without offending another person. Aggressive, on the other side, is everything you know. Being violent, reacting, shouting, insulting, using all sorts of words, like you said. So I think one of the best solutions is to recommend an emotional intelligence class for your boss. Okay? On the other hand, as an individual, you should do whatever you can to protect yourself from such an environment. So if the job is not something you can leave, you can ask for a change of department. If the change of department is not feasible, you just have to study that boss and know how to relate with him or her so that their anger, insults, and their use of words will not be something you have to consistently deal with. So you can remove yourself from that space. That's very key and important. So back to what we're saying, intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is driven by internal rewards, such as personal satisfaction, interest in the work, a sense of achievement. You know, these examples could be enjoying the work itself, taking pride in your accomplishments and personal growth. Extrinsic motivation, on the other side, is driven by external rewards, such as salaries, bonuses, recognition, praises from people. There are so many examples like monetary incentives, promotions, and praise from supervisors. You need to learn how to create a balanced approach by providing both intrinsic and extrinsic motivators to keep employees engaged and motivated. Now that you have learned this as a human resource management professional, you need to create a balanced approach within your workplace culture to make sure that both intrinsic and extrinsic motivators are in high supply so that employees can be engaged and they can be very motivated. Now we're going to look at just 3 motivational theories. The first one is called the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The second one is called the Herzberg's two-factor theory. And the third one is the McGregor's theory X and theory Y. We'll be taking them one after the other. Now, usually the Maslow's hierarchy of needs is usually expressed in a triangle. Okay, so just you can imagine a triangle, or you can take a pen and paper and just draw a big triangle on a paper beside you. Have you done that? I'm sure you've done that. Now, at the base, divide that triangle into 5 portions. Just use a line, draw through them, and divide them into 5 portions. Have you done that? Is it 5? If it was not 5, you have to redraw your triangle and try again. Now, at the base of that triangle, write physiological needs. Above it, write safety needs. Above it, in the middle of the triangle, write social needs. On top of it, write esteem needs. And the last top part of the triangle, write self-actualization. Now, Maslow's hierarchy of needs opines that a normal human being will first and foremost desire to meet his or her basic needs, such as food, water, shelter. That it is after meeting these particular needs that such an individual will begin to think of safety needs, like security and protection from physical and emotional harm, even job security. And when such a person has been able to meet this need, then another need that will be most uppermost in that person's mind will be the need for relationship, love, and belonging. They want to be a part of something. They want to be a part of something powerful, something meaningful. And then after that, the next one will be esteem needs. Esteem needs are basically the need for recognition, the need for status, the need for self-respect. And when these needs are met, only then You're such an individual. Go for the need of self-actualization. This is the point where you become the best version of yourself. This is the point where you realize your true potential in life. This is the point where you feel that you have grown to the level that you really wanted to grow to. So that is the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that these needs follow a particular hierarchy. There's physiological needs, safety needs, social needs or needs for belonging, esteem needs, and self-actualization needs. And as a human resource management professional, you should ensure that basic needs are met. The basic needs that people have, your employees have, are met. Provide job security, foster a collaborative work environment, recognize achievements, and offer opportunities for personal development. All right, let's talk about the next one, Herzberg's two-factor theory. Now, the Herzberg's two-factor theory focuses on the hygiene factors, describing the hygiene factors as salary, company policies, working condition, and job security. And these are the factors that prevent dissatisfaction. They do not motivate, but they prevent dissatisfaction. All right? And then the motivators are now achievement, recognition, responsibility, and growth. And these factors lead to higher satisfaction and motivation. If you want to apply this theory, you have to focus on improving hygiene factors in order to prevent dissatisfaction and then enhance motivators to increase job satisfaction and motivation. That's how to apply it as a human resource professional. The last but not the least is the McGregor's theory X and theory Y. This theory opines that employees are inherently lazy. They need constant supervision and are motivated by financial rewards. While theory Y assumes that employees are self-motivated, seek responsibility, and are motivated by personal growth and fulfillment. Now, you would agree with me that there are people you know in your life who are theory Y kind of people, while there are others that you know who are theory X kind of people. Let me ask you a very direct question now. Are you theory X or theory Y? Which category do you belong to? I'm looking at the chat room. I want to see who is answering. Are you a theory X or theory Y kind of people? Because truth be told, anybody that is not in theory X will certainly be in theory Y. It's the man that said I'm in theory Y. Okay, Lady Joy said I'm in theory Y. All right. Mr. Domaka Imana said I belong to theory Y. All right. Everybody's belonging to theory Y. I wish we don't have theory X people in this class. Maybe theory X people, because they are inherently lazy, they need constant supervision, and they are looking for financial rewards, they may not even be in this class. So when you say you are part of theory Y, I believe every one of you. All right. So as a human resource professional, what do? You can adopt a theory Y approach by empowering employees, offering opportunities for advancement, and fostering a positive work environment. Let's talk about designing motivational programs. You want to design motivational programs within your organization, what do you do? Number one, these are the key steps. How to identify needs and preferences. How to identify needs and preferences. You do this by conducting surveys or interviews to understand what motivates employees, assess the alignment of individual goals with organizational objectives, Then establish specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals. Ensure that goals are aligned with employees' personal and professional aspirations. Then provide opportunities for growth, offer training and development programs, create pathways for career advancement and skill enhancement. Then foster a positive work environment, provide work-life balance. We've talked about all of these things, a supportive culture and open communication, recognize and address any issues that may impact employee morale. Another thing you have to do if you're trying to plan or design an effective motivational program, which is tailored to meet the diverse needs of your employees, is that you have to customize rewards and recognition programs to cater to individual preferences. Consider a mix of monetary and non-monetary incentives. Because if you say you don't want to add money at all, they may not be motivated. They have to mix it up. Now, let's talk about recognizing and rewarding employees. Recognition and rewards are critical for maintaining high levels of motivation and engagement. Effective strategies include timely recognition. Don't wait till forever to recognize somebody who has done something good for the organization. Do it early before their faith fails them. Do it early before they give up or the hope for a reward or the hope for recognition. Because when you acknowledge achievements and contributions promptly, you thereby reinforce positive behavior. Next is to tailor rewards to individual preferences, whether it be public recognition you're planning to do, additional time off, professional development opportunities. Just make sure you tailor it to individual preferences. There are people who would not want to stay off of work. So additional time off will look like punishment to them. There are people who don't want to be acknowledged publicly for anything. So public recognition can put them off and make them sad. So what is most important is that you tailor rewards to individual preferences. Next is that you have to ensure that recognition and rewards are based on merit and applied consistently across the organization. Let it not be that you're using it for favoritism. It's not a good thing for any organization. Next is variety of recognition methods. Utilize different methods such as verbal praise, written commendations, awards, and formal recognition events. So everything must not be about an award or written commendation or anything. It has to be different. It does not have to be the same thing over and over again. They should not know exactly what it is you're going to do this time. They should be saying, how am I going to be recognized or appreciated for what I've done? Make them utilize different methods, all right? And different methods work for different people too. Next, link rewards to performance. Clearly connect rewards to specific performance metrics and achievement. Don't generalize it. Don't assume that everybody did the same thing. Clearly connect the rewards to specific things they did. Don't say, okay, because of everything. Mention it, because anything that you reward, anything that you recognize within your organization, you are reinforcing that behavior. You reinforce positive behavior by recognizing it and by rewarding it. So please take note. If you want people who are always punctual to work, celebrate punctuality. If you want people who are willing to go the extra mile, please celebrate anybody who goes the extra mile. That's the way to reinforce positive behavior that runs across your organization. Let's look at another module, diversity management. Let me pause and ask a question. When you hear diversity management, what comes to your mind? All right, I'm waiting in the comment section, in the chat room. Diversity management. If you look on the screen, you can see people around the table. And you can see they are dressed differently. They look differently. They have different skin colors. They're even shaking their heads differently. So what's diversity management? Diversity management encompasses the variety of human experiences, backgrounds, and perspectives that employees bring to the table and how they are managed. That's just it. Diversity and inclusion are essential for building a successful and thriving workplace. Inclusion is the art of creating a work environment where everyone feels valued, everyone feels respected, everyone feels empowered to contribute their unique talents and skills for the organization. This session will explore the importance of diversity and inclusion, the benefits they bring to the organization, and strategies for promoting a more inclusive workplace. Now, let's define diversity. All right, I got a very wonderful comment from Mr. Emmanuel Afolabi. He said, diversity management is an organizational process used to promote diversity and inclusion in the workplace. Perfect, perfect. And thank you so much for sharing that, okay? Thank you so much for sharing that. As well appreciated. All right, so the presence of differences within a given setting in the workplace, this includes differences in race, gender, age, religion, disability, sexual orientation, education, and other attributes. All of these define diversity. Now, inclusion is the practice of creating an environment where all these different individuals feel respected, accepted, and valued. It involves actively involving diverse groups in decision-making process and ensuring equitable access to opportunities and resources. Now, what are the benefits of a diverse workplace? There are so many benefits. Number one is enhanced creativity and innovation. Well, because there are different people who have different backgrounds, who have different experiences, who have different orientation, all right? They bring varied perspectives and ideas and innovation to the organization, leading to very creative problem solving. They lead to innovative solutions and creative problem solving. Now, another benefit is that inclusive environments foster high levels of employee engagement and satisfaction, which can boost productivity and performance. Now, it also has a benefit of broader talent pool because embracing diversity allows organizations to attract and retain from a wide range of backgrounds and experiences. It also leads to diverse teams have a better decision making because diverse teams consider multiple viewpoints, leading to a more thorough and effective decision making process. Another benefit is market competitiveness. A diverse workforce can better understand and cater for the needs of diverse members bases, enhancing market competitiveness. And so let's talk about challenges in managing diversity. While there are lots of benefits, there are also challenges in managing diversity. And let's take them one after the other. Communication barriers. Because there are differences in language and cultural norms, this can lead to misunderstanding and miscommunication. So these differences in language and the way they behave, the way they greet, the way they how they value things, it can lead to misunderstanding and miscommunication. There are signs that you do that are okay for people within a locality. There are signs if you do the same sign to another person, it will mean a different thing. Like that sign that is okay, the okay sign. If you do an okay sign to an American, he's okay. But if you do the same okay sign to a Japanese, that person might fight you to the death because they'll think you are insulting them. So it's different for different people. So these are some of the challenges. Another one is resistance to change. Employees may resist diversity initiatives due to unconscious biases or fear of change because they're comfortable with what they know. They don't want to do something different. Another one is conflict. Diverse teams may experience conflict arising from different viewpoints, values, and even working styles. So this is very, very important, especially as a human resource management in conflict resolution. You should be careful. So that you are able to capture the different viewpoints of the diverse teams to avoid much conflict. Conflict will be there, but not uh, much if you do your job well. Another one is that another challenge is that there's inclusion difficulties because you have to ensure that all employees feel included and valued. And this can be very, very challenging because especially in an environment with long established norms, how do you get everybody to feel valued? How do you get everybody to feel welcome or heard? It becomes difficult because the laws have been there long before any of you became a staff of such organization. Another challenge is tokenism. Superficial diversity efforts without genuine inclusion can lead to tokenism, where individuals from diverse backgrounds are included in a way that is symbolic rather than meaningful. Let's take, for example, the quota stuff of Nigeria. Sometimes you just add people as items, you don't add them, and they feel that they are here because of just the quota. They don't feel like they are here in your organization because they matter. And that can be a problem. They want to matter not just because of the quota, but because they bring value. All right, they bring something to the table. What are the strategies for promoting inclusion? Number one, you have to develop a diversity and inclusion policy. You have to be intentional about it. Nothing good happens on its own. So you have to sit down, create a formal policy outlining the organization's commitment to diversity and inclusion, including clear goals and accountability issues. You have to provide training and education, offer regular training sessions on cultural competency, unconscious bias, and inclusive practices to all employees. You also have to foster an inclusive culture by promoting values of respect, empathy, open-mindedness throughout the organization. You have to encourage diverse perspectives and create platforms for all employees to share their ideas and experiences. This will help to promote inclusion. You also have to implement fair recruitment practices, ensure hiring processes are free from biases, focus on the skills and potential of candidates from diverse backgrounds, use diverse interview panels to minimize unconscious biases in recruitment decisions. You also have to support employee resource groups, establish and support ERGs for different demographic groups to provide a sense of community and advocate for their needs and concerns. Like you can, if your organization is an international um, or multinational organization, you can have one for the an ERG for the Asians, Africans, like that. You can have for females within the organization, like we have the POA, Police Officers Wives Association. So such ERGs can help to ensure inclusion because together they will have a voice and they would speak for themselves and create more awareness. So promote work-life balance, offer flexible working arrangements, and support systems that accommodate diverse needs and lifestyles. Here in Nigeria, we have the Muslims who have to pray at certain times of the day. You can just work this out in a way that they have their prayer time and it does not tamper with the work that they do. So, but just showing them that they are included uh, intentionally and that you value that the work they do and what they bring to the table. Other ways of promoting inclusion include mentorship and sponsorship programs, create mentorship and sponsorship programs to support the career development of underrepresented employees, regularly assess the effectiveness of diversity and inclusion initiatives through surveys, use focus groups and diversity metrics. Also use data to identify areas for improvement and adjust strategies accordingly. Okay. Then ensure that organizational leaders visibly support and champion diversity and inclusion efforts. Hold leaders accountable for fostering an inclusive workplace and achieving diversity goals. So next on the list, we have another module 5, legal and ethical considerations. Because no matter what we're doing, we have to understand the law and make sure that we are on the right side of the law. So understanding legal and ethical considerations is critical for navigating employee relations, motivation strategies, and diversity management practices. This module will explore employment law basics, the importance of anti-discrimination policies, ethical considerations in employee relations, and proper procedures for handling grievances and disciplinary actions. So there are basics of employment law that we must understand so that our lack of understanding will not jeopardize our organizations. It is a saying that in the court of law, there is no what excuse. Ignorance is not excuse in the court of law. The fact that you don't know it does not mean that you shall be excused. You were supposed to know the law. You were supposed to figure out what the law stands for as relates to employment law. So, legal agreements outlining the terms and conditions of employment, including job responsibilities, salary benefits, and termination procedures, should be clear, well written, all right? Laws that protect workers' rights, including minimum wage, working hours, overtime pay, and safe working conditions, should be understudied. Standards to ensure a safe and healthy workplace, including compliance with OSHA. OSHA is the Occupational Safety and Health Administration regulations. This should be looked into so that you know that I heard the story of a young man who sued an organization for not making the workplace safe and healthy for work staff, and he lost his finger. In fact, he lost 3 fingers in the course of working with the organization. And by the time they paid, the company could not survive it. After they had paid, before you knew, the company became what do they call it now? Bankrupt. Bankrupt because they were sued terribly. And the enemies of that organization, they utilized that person who had this court, and they messed the organization up. So, but if the human resource management professional who was in that organization knew what to do, it wouldn't have come to that. So ensure that leave entitlements are given, that there are legal provisions for various types of leave, such as maternity leave, and paternity leave, and sick leave, and annual leave. And there should be legal guidelines for terminating employment, including notice periods, just cause, and severance pay requirements. All of this should be well articulated and written down. The organization should have their policies. Okay, another example, anti-discriminatory policies, laws, which are designed to promote fairness and equality in the workplace. Key aspects of such policies should include EEO, that's equal employment opportunity. Ensure that all employees have equal access to job opportunities, whether they are male or female, whether they are white or black, whether they are Nigerians or not, whether they are old or young, whether they are full-bodied or disabled. Make sure that regardless of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, age, disability, or genetic information, that everybody has equal employment opportunity. Next, have the Civil Rights Act prohibits employment discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. And then the People with Disabilities Act, PWDA, protects individuals with disabilities from discrimination in employment and requires reasonable accommodations for them, okay? Then another one is the age discriminatory in employment, age discrimination in employment, the ADEA, protects employees aged 40 and older from discrimination based on age. So if you are already 40 years and above and you are discriminated because of your age, the ADEA is there. And as a human resource management professional, try not to fall into the wrong side of the law. Come up to this. Another one is the sexual harassment policy. It establishes guidelines for preventing and addressing sexual harassment in the workplace, like the one I mentioned about the one ICPC is handling now. So, develop and enforce anti-discrimination policies, provide training on diversity, equity, and inclusion, also establish reporting mechanisms for discrimination and harassment complaints. Now let's look at ethical considerations in employee relations. Ethical practices in employee relations ensure fairness, respect, and integrity in all interactions. Key considerations include confidentiality, protecting the privacy of employee information, and maintaining confidentiality in handling sensitive issues. Next is fair treatment. Ensuring all employees are treated equitably and without favoritism or bias. Another one is transparency. Maintaining open and honest communication with employees about company policies, decisions, and changes. Respect. Valuing each employee's contribution and treating them with dignity and respect. Another one is conflict of interest. Avoiding situations where personal interest conflict with professional responsibilities. These are very, very key. And make sure you also implement ethical standards, develop a code of ethics and conduct for your organization, train employees and management on ethical standards and practices, and also create mechanisms for reporting and addressing ethical violations. Also, handling grievances and disciplinary actions. Effective handling of grievances and disciplinary actions is essential for maintaining a fair and productive work environment. All we are trying to say is that employees should feel comfortable working in your organization. If they have grievances, if there are things they are supposed to, they feel discriminated against and stuff like that, there should be an open door policy, okay, where people can come in and say what they are, where employees can come in and make clear what it is they are going through, and they trust you. They trust that it will be handled. They trust that just like this other person, they won't, the case won't be twisted against them. Okay. Many people are swallowing and enduring intimidation, discrimination, because the last person who tried to come up with a grievance to report a grievance was disgraced. So they're keeping quiet. They're swallowing their pain, but one day it will still escalate. And things like this should not be, especially when we are there, when we're physically there and available for this work. So establish clear procedures for employees to raise concerns and complaints. Ensure that grievances are handled promptly, fairly, and confidentially. Don't make them regret ever speaking up. Provide a formal process for investigating and resolving grievances, including mediation and appeals. Develop a consistent and fair disciplinary policy outlining acceptable behavior and consequences of violation. Let everybody know. Let it not be hidden, okay? So that it won't look like I've been vindictive over one person. Implement a progressive discipline approach, starting with verbal warning and escalating to written warning, suspension, and termination if necessary. Don't start with somebody does one small thing, you go straight to suspension or you go straight to termination. That shouldn't be. Let there be verbal warning one, verbal warning two, and before query and like that. Let it escalate gradually. Okay? Ensure disciplinary actions are based on objective criteria and documented thoroughly. Provide employees with the opportunity to respond to disciplinary actions and appeal decisions. In the cases where they need to appeal, give them opportunity to appeal. So it won't look like whatever decision that is made upon them is like final. Okay? There are some additional considerations that I'll be sharing now. Train managers and supervisors on grievance handling and disciplinary procedures. Communicate grievance and disciplinary policies to all employees, not to some, so that everybody is carried along. They know what to expect. Monitor and review the effectiveness of these procedures regularly. All right, with that, we go to module 6 and the second to the last module for today. Now, this module 6 is building a positive organizational structure, culture. Building a positive organizational culture. So, a positive and inclusive organizational culture is the foundation for a successful and thriving workplace. It fosters employee engagement, productivity, and innovation. We said all of this. This session will explore the elements of organizational culture, the role of leadership in shaping it, strategies for cultural transformation, and methods for measuring and sustaining positive change. All right. We have about 2 people in the waiting room. Please help me to bring them in. So let's talk about the elements of organizational culture. Values. The core values that guide the organization's behavior and decision making. What are the core values? For your organization, what are the core values? What does the organization believe in? Is your organization a hospitable place? Is your organization a place where people have to fight and always quarrel to be able to get what they need? Is the organization a place where uh, there's a lot of competition? So, what are your values? Make it known. Talk about it every time in the meeting. Don't say you've talked about it last week, you won't talk about it again. Say it over and over again. That is how it stays with people. Repetition is the secret for retention. Repetition is the secret for retention. That is how you keep it, you make it stay. That is how you make it internalize such values. The organization should have purpose and aspiration. That is the mission and the vision. Where are we going to? What do we want to achieve? Why do we exist? These are questions and elements of organizational culture. Another one is behavior, the way employees interact with each other, clients and stakeholders. All of us know that there is a difference when you attend a general hospital from when you attend a private hospital. Do you know the difference? Have you experienced the difference? Please, if you have, just share with me in the chat room. What happens? There are people waiting in the waiting room. Please admit. Mr. Damilola, please help me admit those in the waiting room. So the difference in behavior will tell you that, I have come to that kind of place, you know. There are some private organizations that behave like they're government organizations. Any hospital that is a private hospital that does not treat people better, why do they have to leave a government hospital and come for you? People are usually treated sort of in a bad way when they go to government hospitals. Yeah, Mr. Emmanuel Afolabi rightly said. Thank you for your comment. Said the difference in attitude will tell you where you went to. Because the attitude of those in the private is better. Why is it better? It's not because they like you better. They like your money. They like your money better. They want to treat you well so you can pay more money. Right? But you can make your organization different. You can instruct, insist on positive behaviors so that they know how to interact with each other, how to interact with clients and stakeholders. That's the organizational culture. You know, this culture is people's way of life, people's way of behavior, people's attitude. Sometimes it can even be unspoken. But when you come into that environment, when you come into that culture, you will know that something is different about it. The attitude, the general outlook, and beliefs employees hold about the organization. Have you seen a public worker at work? They can sleep, they can gist, they can bring market and be selling on the table inside the office. Because the attitude, the organizational culture has an attitude that says you can do whatever you like. After nobody can just sack you. But in private, you dare not. Because you know what is waiting for you. Yes, Mr. Emmanuel Afolabi also said that I also think that the private company workers are better trained than the public workers. Exactly. That's the difference in organizational culture. Now, even among the privates, you still see the difference in attitude. The way you will be greeted, the way you'll be welcomed to the hotel, the way they will respond to you is different. But you can bring this into your organization, whether it's a public sector or a private sector. It takes time, but it's possible. Norms, the written rules and expectations that guide employee conduct. Artifacts, the physical and symbolic elements that represent the culture, such as dress code within your organization, office layout, or company awards. How do you dress? How do people dress in your organization? Do they dress whichever way they like, or do they dress well? Do they dress like what they are doing is important, or do they say, anyhow we dress, just accept us like that? Role of leadership in shaping culture. We must know that leaders play a very critical role in shaping culture. No leader can say, oh, everybody, just follow what I say, but don't follow what I do. It's not possible. A leader is expected to exemplify the desired culture. How? Through their actions, through their decisions, and by setting a standard for others to follow. The leaders must clearly define and communicate the organization's vision and mission, aligning them with the cultural values of the organization. So they must have a vision and mission, and they must model the behavior they intend for others to follow. They should also communicate it, because when they keep communicating that culture, it fosters trust and reinforces the cultural values. Leaders should also acknowledge and reward behaviors that align with the desired culture. Because when you reward it, you reinforce it. When you reward positive actions, you reinforce positive actions. Leaders should also empower employees to take ownership of their roles and contribute to the cultural development. And they should provide resources and opportunities for employee growth and development, because this will help to reinforce a positive culture within the organization. As we gradually get closer to the last module for this class, let's look at strategies for cultural transformation. If you already have a negative culture, or a culture that's not what you want, how do you change it? What do you now do? Is it a death sentence? No, it is not. Something can be done about it. So number one, assess the current culture. Conduct surveys, interviews, focus groups, and understand the existing culture. Identify areas of improvement. Ask people, what do you think about our organization? How do you feel when you come here? Know what is obtainable in your organization. And then secondly, define the desired culture. Clearly articulate the values, beliefs, norms that constitute the desired culture that you want. Ensure alignment with the organization's vision and mission. And now develop a change plan. Let it be a detailed plan outlining the steps needed to transition from the current culture to the desired culture. Include timelines, resources, and key milestones that will help you to move from the current culture to the desired culture. Involve employees at all levels in the cultural transformation process and encourage feedback, participation, and ownership of the change. That way you engage employees to make sure that they are part of the change that is happening. Communicate continuously. Maintain open and ongoing communication about the cultural transformation process. Tell them the importance of that cultural change. Tell them the progress, how far it is going. Ensure that organizational systems, processes, and policies support and reinforce the desired culture. Provide training and development programs that promote cultural values and desired behaviors. Also regularly assess the progress of cultural transformation and make necessary adjustments to stay on track. In order to measure and sustain cultural change, we need to be able to set metrics and KPIs. We've talked about key performance indicators to measure cultural change and its impact on the organization. Regularly survey and give feedback and get feedback. Conduct regular surveys and gather feedback from employees to gauge their perceptions of the culture and identify areas of improvement. Incorporate cultural values into performance review processes, assessing how well employees embody and promote the desired culture. Always celebrate successes. Recognize them, celebrate milestones and achievements in the cultural transformation progress. Foster a culture of continuous improvement by regularly revisiting and refining a cultural foster a culture of continuous improvement by regularly revisiting and refining cultural practices and initiatives. Ensure ongoing commitments from leadership to uphold and reinforce the desired culture through their actions and decisions. And we are here at the final module 7, and the last. Tools and techniques to manage employee relations, motivation, and diversity. There are basic key elements that you need for employee engagement survey. Number 1 is survey design. Craft clear and concise questions that cover various aspects of employee engagement in your questionnaire development, such as job satisfaction, recognition, communication, and work-life balance. In your types of question, use a mix of multiple choice, Likert scale, and open-ended questions to gather comprehensive data so that it won't be a yes and no kind of questioning that will not give you the kind of results that you need. Also, conduct these surveys regularly. Under survey administration, conduct them regularly. It could be annually, biannually, even quarterly to track engagement over time. Ensure confidentiality. That way, they will be honest with you and they will be candid. If not, they would hide. If you make them write their names, they will hide the truth. They'll hide the truth because nobody wants to be penalized. You also need to identify trends under your data analysis. Identify trends, analyze survey results to identify patterns and trends in employee engagement. Have what we call segment analysis, break down data by department, role, and other demographics to pinpoint areas of specific concern. Action planning, develop action plans. Use survey insights to create targeted action plans addressing key issues. Communicate results, share survey findings with employees, and outline steps being taken to improve engagement. Follow up, monitor progress, regularly review the effectiveness of implemented actions, and make adjustments as needed. Establish channels for ongoing employee feedback beyond formal surveys. Foster positive relationships. Let's look at some key takeaways, all right, in everything that we have discussed. We've talked a lot about employee engagement, talent management, acquisition from morning till now. So our key takeaways in everything we have discussed, there is need for employee relations. Foster positive relationships through effective communication, ethical practices, and proactive grievance handling. In motivation, apply motivational theories and balance intrinsic and extrinsic motivators to enhance employee engagement. In diversity and inclusion, recognize the value of diversity and implement strategies to promote an inclusive culture. Conduct regular surveys and take actionable steps based on feedback, that is on engagement. As regards recognition and rewards, Align incentive programs with organizational goals and celebrate achievements. As regards cultural transformation, define and involve employees in cultural transformation, providing continuous training and development programs. As regards leadership, ensure leadership commits to fostering a positive and inclusive culture. Under continuous improvement, ensure that you regularly assess initiatives and adjust as needed. Maintain transparent channels and share successes through ongoing communication. And finally, strive for continuous improvement and innovation in managing employee relations, motivation, and diversity through your commitment to excellence. At this point, we have come to the end of today's class. Thank you, everyone. And thank you to everyone who participated fully and was present through it all. I do appreciate every one of you. Thank you for being in class. And please don't forget to go to Google and give us a 5-star review. I'll be passing on the microphone to our able coordinator and PRO, Mr. Damilola, to take over. Thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye for now. If you have any questions, please, now will be the time to raise them. Bye.
Wow. Thank you so much for your time, Ma. I mean, these have been amazing sessions so far. I mean, we can say that we've enjoyed the session. It's so interactive, engaging, and educative. Thank you for your time. We look forward to, to bring you back on board anytime, any day, because I strongly believe that all the people participated in class today, they enjoyed the class very well. All right. Please, I want to say something before we close for the day, because our class continues tomorrow. The reason why we're having this kind of session is to make it more interactive. And thank you to those who engage during the session, but that's not enough. Sometimes when you have a situation or scenario that you want to, get clarity to also know more about what you can do, let's relate, let's ask questions. I mean, the purpose of class, the purpose of section like this is to ask questions. I mean, when you paint a scenario, the person in charge will be able to respond to those questions. So it's very important we ask questions after a session like this. I mean, this is almost 2-hour session. So it's also encouraging to know that what our trainer is teaching us, we are getting it right. So next time, especially tomorrow, please bring your questions to class so we can treat those questions as well. So the class is by 10 a.m. tomorrow. Please let's get set and prepare for that class. Let's clear our schedules and activities. By the way, this class is not for free, but people are still joining for free for now. But by tomorrow, please let's take the financial part of it seriously so we can be committed to this class. Anything you've not paid for, there is a way you can be, playing about it. So once the finance is in now, I know that we'll be more committed. Please let's start preparing for that. And if you have any question or any information to pass across, please let's make use of the WhatsApp group and go ahead to ask or send your contribution. Thank you once again and see you in class tomorrow. Bye-bye.